So I have this module that is my, what I call literally course introduction, start here. This is where I list my syllabus, some introduction videos to the course, a lot of the stuff that have to do with the earlier standards. But I also have two subfolders, one called technology requirements and technology support. So this is where I list, first of all, the minimum technology requirements. So on my syllabus, I may list some of them, but then I link to this page. But then I also have, and the list to technical support, but then I have two subfolders that I call accessibility information. So I look at all the different technologies I use. In this case, it's pretty much Beachboard. For this course, it's Beachboard, Kaltura, and then YouTube. So I have links to the accessibility policies. And then for privacy policies, which we'll also talk about, where we are talking about now, I have it for, first of all, just the university's own privacy policies, Beachboard privacy policies. When I say lecture video here, this is Kaltura. I just use it because students probably don't necessarily know what Kaltura is, as well as YouTube privacy policies. Or in my AMI course, I do something similar. So this is a synchronous AMI course here. And I have the syllabus and course information. I also have a technology requirements and technical support folder. Within there, list of technology requirements, which is from one of our earlier standards. And then again, I have those things. So link to all the technical support and technical requirements. And then I have Beachboard accessibility, Kaltura accessibility, Zoom accessibility, SPSS, which is a statistical software program, accessibility, Qualtrics, which is a survey software that's all web-based, their accessibility, Lockdown browser accessibility, and then for privacy, university privacy policy, Beachboard privacy policy, Kaltura, Zoom, SPSS, Qualtrics, Lockdown browser. So you would want to think about what are all the tech. First of all, for privacy policy, you'll want the universities, you'll want Beachboard. And then for other tools you might use, if you're using YouTube videos, or you're posting lecture videos with Kaltura, or you're using Zoom, any technology that you might be using other than Beachboard itself, you want to seek out the privacy policies and the accessibility policies. And all you have to do is provide a link. Most students probably will not read it, but students who are concerned about accessibility clearly will. And then for privacy, there are some students who are data savvy and are concerned about this. So it demonstrates to them that you have thoroughly researched all the tools you are using. And you may also want to look at privacy policies. So I know there's a commonly used discussion platform known as Piazza, and at Stanford, faculty are actually opting out using Piazza because Piazza has fine print that the company will collect data about student usage and then then provide that to potential employers. So it's also important for you to be aware of the privacy policies. Obviously, there's some things like Zoom, which if you're on the College of Liberal Arts, you've seen lots of debates over the privacy issues of Zoom, but at least have links so students are familiar with it, as well as be familiar with yourself with policies. But I always find for a lot of this stuff, creating modules that have links or lists, and then on your syllabus or on your course introduction page, you can just then have a link to these pages. So you only need to put them in detail in one location, and then in other locations where it may be relevant, you can just you can find privacy policies here, and then using the hyperlink, it'll just take them to that portion of your Beachboard page. So it's relatively easy to do. The time is finding all the policies and reflecting on what policies you need to do.
Can I ask a question about this?
Sure.
I think of Kaltura as an editing software. I use Camtasia, but I wouldn't think of it as anything that a student would interact with apart from sort of receive the video. Why would a privacy policy be required there?
Why would it? Because it's just the delivery platform. So we upload it to Kaltura, and they are technically, that is Kaltura, while we at our campus have it integrated with Beachboard, it is not by Desire to Learn Brightspace. So it is a separate proprietary software that we pay for at Cal State Long Beach that is integrated into Beachboard, but it has its own accessibility and privacy policies. So students do interact with, just like if you're using YouTube videos, they're interacting with YouTube. YouTube is collecting data.
Yeah,
or maybe some of these policies may say, we do not collect your data, but that is why you link to them.
To add on to that though, I think, so Andrew, in your case, if you're using Camtasia to edit a video and then uploading that to Kaltura, then you're right, the students wouldn't really be interacting with Camtasia itself. So in that respect, you wouldn't need to include a Camtasia privacy policy. It would just be Kaltura in that case, just because like you said, and what Adam is saying too, in terms of student interaction, it's the Kaltura tool that they're using, that they're interacting with, and Camtasia is more for the instructor to render the videos.
And Kaltura does collect data. It tells you whether students have watched the video for how long. So it's not like it's not collecting data on your students. It's collecting data on your students for you as an instructor to use.
Right.
Okay, I don't use it, so I think I assumed it was similar to Camtasia, but I see the difference now.
I see.
Okay.
I have a question. Given that like most of those accessibility and privacy policies that you are mentioning are common to most of us, right? Zoom, Beachboard, etc. Wouldn't it be a good idea to create a sort of a standard, what's it called, module in the shell, in the template for everybody to have that in, and then we can add the other special ones?
Yeah,
Alicia, I was just thinking that. Oh, Adam, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, I think that's a great point. Yeah, and I'm sure that's something that we can add to version 2 of our templates. Certainly, especially what you're saying, Alicia, with the heavily used tools, right? LMS, Zoom, Kaltura. I wouldn't see any issue with that.
Beachboard, yeah, Beachboard. Yeah. That'd
Yeah,
be
great point.
save us work.
These are all
Anything
great
to
questions.
save one more minute.
Yeah, and it provides a good starting point too that instructors can easily add on to once they start adopting new technology tools.
Another way I think it's valuable to put it on is it reflects by forcing you to reflect on what are your privacy policies. It forces you to reflect on, wait, which technologies do I need to actually also list the minimum technology requirements for? It's sort of a reflexive process that, well, maybe you will link to these accessibility policies, or maybe you'll link to these requirements so that you then remember to hit all of them. So because you can address accessibility, privacy, minimum requirements in similar fashions, it helps you remember to verify which of the tools you're using do you need to.
Mm-hmm.
Long, would you have anything else to add to this conversation?
No, for the late registration, I just got in, still trying to catch up. I'm good for now, but I will check.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Good questions. So I think we're right on the bubble here where I want to give Lindsay enough time, and we originally slated starting at 1:30, but I think I think we should probably have Lindsay introduce herself and get started, because I think at this point then we can kind of she has a great example of a not so accessible syllabus and contrasting that with a very accessible syllabus. So I think it's a great point, or a great demonstration to start off the accessibility discussion and the 6 standards that go along with that in QM. So Lindsay, feel free to unmute yourself and introduce yourself, and then hop into what you have for us today.
Hi everyone, my name is Lindsay, and as Cheryl said previously, I work in the Ames Center as the Instructional Materials and Technology Consultant. In addition to that, I'm also a student here at Cal State Long Beach in the Liberal Studies program as a senior. I will show or start screen share for my PowerPoint, and then okay, perfect. And I do use JAWS as my primary screen reader, so it may take me a few seconds to move my screens around. Perfect. And you are seeing my PowerPoint?
Yes. Great.
Perfect. Okay. So as I said previously, I will be showing a syllabus that's accessible and inaccessible. In addition to that, I'm also going to show how JAWS works. I'm not sure if you're able to hear the feedback from JAWS with Zoom.
I haven't heard it so far.
Okay, I might have to unplug my headphones for that to work.
Wait,
And then,
Lindsay, Lindsay, did you check the box? When you share the screen, there's two boxes at the bottom of the share screen, and that would share your audio, your computer
let me
audio.
see.
It's one of the tiny little boxes that Zoom puts in on some of the menus.
Would it be in the context menu?
Francisco, can you help me out with this?
You would have to stop your presentation.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then when you click on, completely close your share screen. Go ahead and close it. You're still sharing your
stop
screen.
sharing, right, Francisco?
Yeah, stop sharing.
Okay. Stop share.
There you go.
Okay.
Good. And then click on the share button one more time.
Uh-huh.
And then on the left corner of that screen, it should say share computer sound. There's a
Screen.
box.
I see screen, whiteboard.
Uh-huh.
Oh, here we go. I
All
see
the
it.
way
Really
down.
small. There we go.
Yeah, it's very small. And then maybe we'll be able to hear your.
Okay, perfect. Now that's there. And then
Leaving menus.
now can you hear JAWS?
There we go. We can hear it now.
Perfect.
And don't forget
Okay.
to start the presentation too.
Press Alt to show or hide me to escape. Leaving menus. Ready. Car workshop dash PowerPoint. Other tools that can be used with JAWS. A. Add to quick access. Leaving menus. Other tools that heading level 1. Other tools that bullet. A common tool that is used with JAWS is a braille
here,
display.
I'm gonna show the video
Bullet demo of
that shows the QBraille XL.
escape. Car workshop dash PowerPoint.
I'm using the QBraille XL right now to read my PowerPoint.
Windows T, Microsoft, Google Chrome -1 enter, QBraille XL productivity superhero -ut. Pause left parent K right parent, QBraille XL, pause left parent K right parent, pause left parent K right, 943, next left parent
Hey
shift
everybody,
plus N
Earl
right
Harrison
parent,
from Hims
YouTube video.
Incorporated, here to talk about
So
the
actually, Lindsay, we can't see the video, so you'll actually have to choose the video when you so stop share and then share the video.
Max 67.
Actually,
Play left parent
I
K.
think just showing it would be enough because there's no actual, like, it doesn't talk or anything. It just shows that what the gentleman is doing is he is using the QBraille to control his computer with JAWS. And as a student, especially in our remote environment, that really helps because as an instructor is speaking or as students are presenting, having the ability to not have to have JAWS speak while a Zoom presentation is going on really helps because you're having that audio feedback.
From Andrew Fogelman to everyone: oh good. Q Braille.
With 6 pairings, I can easily switch between my favorite devices with just 2 keystrokes. I can change from sending this email about work to this text message about today's meeting.
Innovative.
You're only
Cutting
sharing
edge.
your PowerPoint, not
Stay
video.
super productive.
Oh no. Okay.
Q Braille Excel dash productivity superhero dash YouTube dash group. Select a
Lindsay?
window or an
Yeah, I hear
application
that.
that you want
Yeah.
to Q Braille
may
Excel
switch it.
dash enter. Leaving menus. Main region. Pause left
Get more
parent, K right
projects done
parent.
faster and
Pause
save
left
your
parent, K
weekends
right
for
parent.
yourself. Truly a productivity superhero, ready to take on the day with his Q-Braille XL with Perkins and QWERTY keyboard superpowers. What are you going to use?
Escape. Menu to navigate. Press up. Select a window or an application
I'm going
that
to
you
show
want to
the
share. B.
2 Word docs right now. The one that I'm showing right now
Non-dash enter.
is the
Leaving menus.
non-accessible,
Blank.
the non-accessible
Blank.
syllabus.
Blank. Graphic picture 1 course number title section semester and year left bracket title right bracket. Blank. Section 2 page 1 2 text columns. Instructor : first name last name left bracket normal text right bracket.
Oh my God.
Office :
Yeah.
left parent building and room number right parent. From Cheryl Hathaway to everyone : this is the non-dash accessible document.
Yes, it is.
Office hours : left parent days and time right parent. Phone : left parent area code right parent left parent telephone number right parent. Email : left parent your email address right parent. Section course description
Yeah,
left
so-
bracket heading 1 right bracket.
As we can see, this particular PowerPoint or this particular Word doc doesn't have headings and there's no picture descriptions. In the one that I'm going to show next, you'll see headings and you'll see actual descriptions. For example, we will see the CSULB seal.
Context menu to navigate. Press up or select a window or an application that you want to share. B. MS Word under enter. Leaving menu. Section 2 section 1 page 1 text columns. Graphic University emblem. California State University Long Beach emblem. Heading level 1 course number title section semester and year page break. Section 2 page 1 2 text columns. Instructor : TRUCTOR : space blank O F. Office hours : phone : email : section 3 page 1 text column. Heading level 2 course description. Left parent insert course description from the catalog and / departmental description here. Right blank. Heading level 3 course goals / student learning objectives. Left parent insert goals and objectives here. Objectives must be measurable, specific, and time related. Blank. Heading level 3 student learning outcomes. Left parent slow right.
And I'm going to mention here too that the reason these headings are so important is because as a screen reader user,
From Yulia Casio to everyone : this is hurts my brain.
So as a screen reader user, I depend on the headings to help in navigating documents. So for example, if you as an instructor give me a 50-page document and it has no headings, it's going to take me a while to get to, say, page 30.
Oh, okay.
Escape.
I
Menu to move through items.
Besides
Meeting
questions, I
controls.
think that's all I have.
From Alicia Del Campo to everyone : I agree. OMG, how difficult.
Yeah, it can be quite difficult.
Oh my God.
Lindsay, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Does bold and italicizing affect how
Helps.
You're
Which one?
muted. You got
did that come
muted.
through? Did my question come through?
No.
Does bolding does the use of bold or italics affect how things are read?
Sometimes it'll say like italics, bold, not so much. And even from a Braille display, there is an indicator in Braille to show italics, so I am able to see that there is an italics, but for bold it's not. But I mean, just know, what I would say to do in that case is just, if it's a main heading, make sure you mark it as a heading.
And I think it's a good question because usually it's best practice to, if you want to emphasize meaning, to use bold, right? Rather than italicize or underline or color, because italicize and underline, it might indicate like a hyperlink. And so students would get confused if they're trying to click on something that is underlined or italicized, because they're thinking it might take them to an external website or to another place within that website. So I think to convey meaning, the best way is to just make sure you bold part of a text.
But are you making a difference between bold and heading, like in Word? Like,
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, when you use the headings in Word, it's much different. Yeah, Adam.
Yeah, I was going to say that if you want to bold something because it's a heading, use the heading features, which then inherently have bold on it. So, and most of the time people use bold for heading in their headings rather than in the middle of the text. You want it so that as much information is conveyed in textual, like the actual text, rather than through visualization of the text. So you don't want the image of the text to convey meaning. You just want the pure text to. So yes, some screen readers are able to pick it up, but differently. In Word, in HTML, the heading features will bold and italicize differently based on how you set it up. But for a visually impaired student, in that case, the fact that it's bold or italicized does not convey any meaning, but knowing that it's a header does. So when I've tried to do as much of my syllabi now going forward in the HTML itself on Beachboard, and then just use, rather than create it as a Word doc or a PDF, because then a screen reader can just read the HTML and that use head. And I almost only use bold with headings. I don't even say bold. I just say H4. If you go through the full peer reviewer course training at some point, it has a whole lesson just on making sure things are accessible and covers just these issues of bolding, italicized, underlying color is a good chunk of that lesson.
Adam, I have a question. How do you do a picture description in HTML on Beachboard then?
So first of all, I think with Beachboard, if you insert the image, like using, even not in HTML, just using the picture function, when you select your picture, it asks, what do you want the alt text to be? If you, and then to HTML, I think in the tag that identifies where it goes, you add alt text. But that's that's what captions are called in HTML, and in other functions as well. But for HTML, it's called alt text.
Thank you.
I do also want to mention that JAWS is only one screen reader that can be used. I don't know if anyone here on the call is actually using a Mac, but in that case, you'd be using VoiceOver. The key commands are a little bit different with VoiceOver, but the principles of making sure that the document is accessible still applies in that case.
Any other questions?
Maybe Lindsay, since you're from BMAC, you might say otherwise, but I was always told by Velma, who's the head of the Accessible Instructional Material Office, that JAWS is considered the gold standard, so that if JAWS can read it, then you can just assume it meets the necessary accessibility.
Basically, she's my boss, so yes. But I'm just saying, like, we don't know what device the student's going to walk in with. I personally use both Mac and PC. It just depends on what job that I'm doing, because some of our students do walk in with Macs.
So what is the best way for us to make sure we are doing an accessible text?
Well, there are lessons online, but also a good thing is to, I mean, they are probably stretched a little thin, but the Accessible Instructional Material Office is wonderful, and they'll check things over. In fact, when I went through my formal QM review, the peer reviewer's like, oh, these files are not accessible. So I go to Velma with all those files, and she said, oh, this one's not accessible, but all the other ones are. I don't know what they're talking about. So that was what I put in my reply. But there are lots of lessons about making sure things are accessible. I don't know, does ATS have tutorials on accessibility?
Well, actually, the Velma's group does have tutorials, and they do have student support. And I'll leave Lindsay to take care of that.
Yeah, I was just getting to that. So you can send your files to amc@csulb.edu. Right now, because we are so swamped, we usually will just check them and send you feedback as to what is wrong. But if you don't have a student in the class with a disability, we usually do not fix them. But if we know that you have a student with a disability in your class, then we will fix them.
And I'd also like to add that we are piloting Blackboard Ally. It is a software program integrated with our Beachboard learning management system. You can request to have this activated within your course, and it will allow you to see what level your documents are at. And by saying what level, let me scroll down to the bottom here. And they have dials that look like this here. Red, which means needs help. Medium, which says a little bit better, 34 to 66%. And then we have high, that is 67 to 99%. And that's really what we're working towards. So knowing that the AIM Center, the Accessible Instructional Material Group, has gotten so much traction this year and needs some support. We're looking at offering this as a soft pilot this fall. So if you'd like to activate it, you can activate it at any time. You are the only ones who sees these dials unless you are showing the back end of Beachboard to your class, like through Zoom. So they will only see the wonderful results of having these. Blackboard Ally, you can change anything into different formats. So you can identify what challenges you might have with a Word document, much the way that Lindsay explained to us with the identifying of headers and paragraph text. But also with this, we will show that you can take a PDF and you can also have it be read as a MP3. In other words, it would read the document, and let's say you're a student and you wanted to go for a run, you could actually just take that document, have it be translated into an MP3, go on your run and be able to hear this. I don't know, do we have a moment in time if I could share the Blackboard Ally overview, just so that people would understand what we mean by Blackboard Ally? And I asked the team that. Okay, so what I'll do is I will open up the actual YouTube, and I'll be able to show you this. And that is share and share computer audio. So we will share this.
Introducing Blackboard Ally, dedicated to helping create truly inclusive experiences in education. Ally is a revolutionary course content accessibility service that integrates closely with the learning management system. Accessibility of digital course content has been a significant problem for some time, affecting students, instructors, and institutions worldwide. Too often, conversations around accessibility stop at the systems instructors and students use, and the content that lives in them is often neglected. It is very difficult for an institution to understand how they are performing with regards to accessibility. There are vast amounts of content created continuously by many different people, making it hard to understand how or where institutions need to improve, let alone what the legal risks are. Making instructors aware of the impact of accessibility can be difficult, and providing the required accommodations to students with disabilities can be challenging. On top of that, accessibility leads to quality and usability improvements that will ultimately benefit all students. Ally is dedicated to helping you make your course content more accessible. We do this in 3 ways. First, Ally uses machine learning algorithms to automatically provide alternative formats for course content throughout your entire institution. This gives students immediate access to more accessible alternatives such as semantic HTML, audio, EPUB, electronic braille, and more, without any manual intervention from the institution or instructor. Ally also checks and scores course content. It then provides feedback and detailed guidance on how to fix the identified accessibility issues to the instructor, all within the context of the learning management system. This allows instructors to see which items in their course have accessibility issues and fix them before students start to use the content. Lastly, Ally provides a means to understand how the institution is doing in terms of accessibility and analyzes course content into an institution-wide report. This report provides administrators a deep and rich understanding of not only how the institution is performing, but how things are evolving and where the problems are. With this kind of insight, informed decisions can be made into how to further improve accessibility at the institution. Ally quickly provides a level of insight that most institutions don't have access to. All of Ally's features work together to move any institution up on the accessibility spectrum, from the automated generation of alternative accessible formats to in-context instructor feedback and institutional reporting. Ally works hard in making course content more accessible.
And I'll just stop it there and give back the floor. So we aren't without looking at tools and resources to scale up to our virtual fall and our virtual spring. Again, this is had a soft pilot over the summer. We're having a soft pilot currently now. We will be having some guest speaking at some of the college and the department levels. And if you as an individual would like to try this, just please email myself or any one of the ITS team members, and we will be happy to facilitate this for you. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them, as well as Lindsay, Long, Adam, and Adam.
So I have a question. If we want to make sure that our course or all documents in our course are accessible, then should we activate Ally or start using it? Is that what you said, or would that be a good idea? Or?
I think it is. And who here has activated Ally? Has anybody here activated Ally? I know that Nancy had, and she was going to share that, so forgive us. She had an unexpected appointment. So what it will do is you could go to the AIM Center, or if we implement this for you, you can experiment on the back side of your course, and as you put up your documents, Blackboard Ally will support you by scanning it and giving you one of those scores. So you could do this at your leisure, and it's pretty instantaneous as it goes along. And since we're on the continuous improvement process with all of our quality assurance measures, it basically, nobody else sees this. It's only for your reference. And basically, as you move along, you could have these documents, updated to reflect the correct titles, or, just the formatting. And then somebody else has done. So they use this as a tool to look at that and offer extra points to students who would help make the document accessible. So it doesn't necessarily need to be you. Our students also need to be educated in this way. And we'd be happy to, work with you, our instructional design team, and working out some sort of extra credit activity that would allow students to go through the materials and really check, is it accessible? How would I do that? Possibly with a job aid or working in a team or a group.
And are there any specific font types that must be used for documents to be accessible? Because I've heard that not all font types are basically considered accessible. Is that right? I mean, because I did change most of my documents, like the fonts, I changed it to Calibri. I believe that one is accessible if I'm not making a mistake, but
I thought it was Arial, the only one we are supposed to use, or am I wrong?
is that Arial? Because it was Arial and I changed it, so.
I'll defer to Lindsay.
Okay.
Both that you mentioned, I believe are, as well as Times New Roman. As a screen reader user, I don't see a difference because I can't see my screen anyway, so.
That I like to hear that. You mentioned
Another-
Calibri Light. That's what you said, Ashi, right?
I'm sorry?
You said Calibri Light? Is that
Calibri Light, yeah. Actually, all my documents originally were in Times New Roman, but I thought that it wasn't accessible. I spent so much time to change it because someone told me that I should have, but anyway.
Another reason I actually do as much as possible in HTML is because with HTML, you don't have to set a font. So that also works with well for students who maybe don't need, first of all, because there's no font, it is all then readable by a screen reader. But another thing is for students with certain visual impairments or need for certain fonts, they can customize what their default HTML is. So if for some reason students like reading everything in Comic Sans, they can set their web browser for the default font to be Comic Sans. So if you do it in HTML, while you can give it a specific font if you so choose, if by not specifying a font, then it's the student's web browser that can set the font. So not only does you doing it in HTML guarantee that it should be readable by a screen reader, it also allows students who have a need for a particular font or like to have a font, their customization. So one of the downsides with Beachboard's editing system is once you set a font, you can change the font, but it's actually, you would have to go in and manually edit the HTML to remove the font altogether. So know that. I mean, Beachboard lists I think I think Beachboard itself lists Arial as the recommended font. So when you pull down the different fonts, I think it says recommended next to Arial. But if the best, I think, option is to not specify a font whatsoever, because then that gives maximum flexibility for the students' technology, be it a screen reader or a web browser, to customize it as needed. Obviously, with Word documents, PowerPoint files, PDFs, you don't have that control. But with HTML, it works that way fine. So that is one reason why I've moved as much over to HTML and web-based rather than putting things in Word docs or PDF.
Adam, do you want to show a quick example of that in your course?
Sure, I can do that.
I think that's a great point, that with the templates that ATS has created and things that we've done for the SOAR. I'm not sure if you're all familiar with the SOAR program in enrollment services, but we built some pages for them, and we built that all in the HTML because it helps for students to be able to set their default font in their browser, and it doesn't have any issues with them doing that, and then also with our default fonts.
So I'm just pulling up the correct page. So hold on. Where is the, okay, there we go. So here is the syllabus, and you can go edit HTML, and here's text. So you just type in here, and technically right now you are not editing. This is not the HTML. So really when Beachboard says edit HTML, it just means edit web page. But this here is the HTML source. And you'll see nowhere is a font specified. The only real specifications of fonts in any form is right here. I say this is heading 4. And these, if you see in this, here is heading 4. So this way, by doing it this way, and also noting up here that it just says font family, font size as those words, rather than having selected one of these. So see, as I said, Beachboard lists Arial as recommended. By not specifying it then, students can set their default browser to whatever font they want. And it's not just creating web pages. You go to a course module. Let me just go to. So here, with the overview, you go to the HTML again. I specify the heading here, but notice there's no font specified here. So therefore, again, because I'm not specifying it. Whereas if you specify it's Arial, more likely than not, that will be what is displayed on a student's screen. So the less you force into it, the better.
I have a question which I'm not sure. Okay, when you copy and paste the document something into, for example, the description, like, you know, for example, the thing you just showed, like description for a module, when you copy and paste it from another document, would the font type transferred as well or no? Because mine doesn't.
Sometimes, it's sometimes. So if you copy and paste text from a Word document and then paste it in, I think it does transfer. But if you copy, say, something from a text document or from a toolbar, it doesn't. So it sort of depends on the extent to which what you're copying carries it over. So the answer is it depends. That's why I try avoiding copying and pasting things from Word into Beachboard documents if possible. Sometimes I'll copy and paste it into something like Notepad on a PC that doesn't have font information, and then immediately after copying it from into Notepad, copy it into Beachboard. Because Notepad doesn't have font information, it doesn't transfer any font information over.
Thank you.
So just to follow up with questions about, you know, the different fonts. So on the right side is more of a Times Roman. It has the little tails and leaders, and this is called a serif font. This is something that comes up in a lot of our textbooks and a lot of our print materials. As we move to online, there was findings that the sans serif is a little bit easier to read on the eye. And so that's why that's been used more frequently. I think that both are read by screen readers. It's just how they would show up at this point. We'll do some more research and find out if there is any other information about that, but that's basically the difference. So the serif font on the right is considered more ornamental, and then the sans serif does not have the tails and leads.
I was going to mention something that I had experienced when using Moodle at Cal State Fullerton. It had this ranking system of individual files and whether or not they were accessible. And for people who don't have any experience with this, one of the things that is obviously is a no-no is to scan text straight from a book and turn it into a PDF. And that was something that I did all the time. I teach history, so I take an individual source, I'd simply scan it out of a book, and then I'd post it for a specific week. And that's a no-no.
And so what do you do then?
Lindsay, could you speak to that? Oh, go ahead, Andrew.
Well, what do I do? That's a great question. I'm still doing it, which is a problem. But in my own research, I've been scanning Latin texts, and when I want to make them searchable, I've been now using Adobe Acrobat and use their reading service that turns it into a text. So I haven't used that as a function to make a scan text readable yet, but I'm seeing in my own work that might be a tool I could use to, if I really want to scan a text out of a book and turn it into a PDF, I might maybe convert it to some version of a Word document through that process. But I don't know if that's legal either or advised.
I think that works. The person that I would turn you to in my office would be Austin Soto. He's had to do a lot of that for me, especially this semester, because I'm taking English courses and the instructors do something very similar. And I think as far as copyright goes, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's like, what, a whole chapter or something that you're not supposed to? I don't know. But yeah,
there have been some, the person who does that that has all the rules, knows all the ins and outs of copyright is Tracy Mayfield. And it seems from conversations with her that even people at the library who are supposed to be responsible for scanning books don't necessarily know. Part of it is because the law is very ill-defined. But if you have questions about how much can actually get copied or what can get copied, Tracy Mayfield is the person you want to contact.
Can I ask real quick, is the scanning of the article a copyright issue or an accessibility issue?
Well, it's an accessibility issue is the actual scanning, but the thing is that the library can scan things for you and ensure they're accessible. It's more the matter of the amount that they can scan for you. So the actual scanning is a matter of accessibility. The amount scanned is a matter of copyright.
So are you saying we can get the library to scan what we need scanned as long as it's little enough and they can make it accessible?
Yes. So if you use the library's course reserves, just like where the library's course reserve feature, you give them what you need scanned, they will scan it for your course. Technically, you're then supposed to link to the library's website directly or provide students the link. There are a lot of library reasons for that, but technically you can then download what they've scanned for you and just upload it yourself to Beachboard.
Adam, what's the technology that they're using to make an accessible scan? Do you know?
That I'm not sure. I think they may just have ways to convert it and then they test it out as well. But I don't know what technology they use. Technically, just for your own use, Adobe makes what's known as Acrobat Scanner, where you can literally use your phone to scan something and it automatically then converts it into readable text. The difference is the library, if they scan something, would ensure that it's scanned correctly. Whereas technically, while the Adobe reader can convert it, you would have to literally go through lots of hoops to ensure it's correct.
So I provided some resources as we were talking. So I've listed the AIM staff, and you can find resources for people who are facing all the projects that you were talking about. And then I've also included Tracy Mayfield, Associate Dean at the library, and she can discuss copyright. And I guess on that note, I know that this might be a little off topic, but Long, do you think you could share a little bit about your copyright journey or your course's copyright journey with using materials that might be considered proprietary?
Thank you, Cheryl. I think the course you have in mind is the Golden Girl class. So that's a class me and a colleague developed based on the sitcom The Golden Girls. So it's a gerontology class about women and aging. By the way, it's open to all majors, so encourage your student to register. So basically how the course is designed is we meet once a week for 3 hours. Then each week we select one episode representing a topic important for older women. For example, dating, relationship with the children, relationship with roommates and friends, financial preparation, senior abuse, health, HIV, things like that. So we would start each class with viewing episode together. Then we basically go on with a subject expert presentation and with the discussion with the students. So this was how we teach it in person. But once COVID hit, obviously in-person play from a DVD player or computer become not possible. So after consulting with the library, the solution found was, so basically we will use the live Zoom and share screen. So for instructor to play the episode on her laptop, then share the screen live with the students. So that would not be an issue that has a copyright concern. So that's how this class has been managing it this semester.
Thank you so very much. He and the other instructor also worked very closely with Tracy Mayfield. I can't recommend her highly enough. She also works with the Affordable Learning Solutions. So in addition to, looking at your resources and trying to put those together, the library offers services where they can help you find things that are readily available, maybe in open education resources. We have the Cal State Merlot, and I forgot what the acronym stands for, but it comes out of our academic technology services at the Chancellor's office. And it offers a wide dearth of content from across the United States and internationally for all the different disciplines. And then it also hosts a listserv that's shared with the community colleges where you can even just ask somebody, ask the listserv, I'm looking for this, and people crowdsource it from across the United States. And I'll be happy to provide those resources to anybody. So that's something else that's on the horizon among the other things. Excellent. Thank you, Francisco. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the final checklist. So I had an opportunity to get it updated. So it's actually modeling, instead of peer review being meets requirements, conditionally meets requirements, and 3 phases, we actually have 3 steps. But I'm going to let the rest of the team continue talking, and I'll be right back with that, and they'll deconstruct that for us before the time is up. So I'll tip it back to the Adams and Long.
Great. Yeah, Long, there's a question in the chat regarding recording the class on Zoom. Did Tracy indicate that would be an issue or not?
To the best of my recollection, I think that would be okay. I can double check. I think there was something, the main thing is that if it's the instructor playing it, to let other people watch live, that's the key practice to avoid that issue. But I can double check with that.
Great, thanks.
I had a sort of similar issue where I would show a movie and I looked different ways of trying to make it a shared experience, and then I just added it as a required textbook that they had to rent the movie through Amazon. That's what I wound up after I couldn't find a platform that everyone had access to. So I just did it that way.
Yeah, that's definitely another, especially for like the more popular recent movies, you know, if they're available on some sort of streaming device. Usually, most of the time, students have access to Prime Video or Netflix, Hulu. So, but yeah, still, I think specifying it in the syllabus is the most important, right, from the get-go. So students can expect what to, you know, incur any expenses from the beginning of the course. Any other questions? Good, okay.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen and give you guys the final version of the peer review checklist. I know many of you have the Word document. We thought we'd put it in a PDF document that we've made accessible. And so just some of the highlights. This is still considered a draft. It's a work in progress, but we really wanted to work with a cohort group to really kick the tires on this. So as you can see, it has been adapted from the Quality Matters checklist, which is based on about 15 to 20 years of research. And the link to it is right here. It's closely tied to student success. If it's a better organized course, if it has the materials correctly labeled, if the rubrics are given in advance, it's been shown that students do better in classes that are well thought out in the presentation on the web through the learning management system or the learning platform. So in terms of the course, this would have been our week 1. These are the top standards that we went through. The beige, again, are the AMI checklist, so the accessible, alternative modes of instruction, excuse me. And you would be here to do a self-check. These are the processes now for the peer check instead of the grading or the criteria. Oh no, this is not the right one. I'm gonna have to go find the right one. I think somebody sent me the same one back. But what will be here is 3 processes, and it'll be, you have the conversation about any changes that you need for this. You go over the changes that you make, and then this one would be just to say it meets criteria, and then the final check would be submitting it to ATS for distribution to either a master or peer reviewer in Quality Matters, or as we grow the peer review group, we are going to have possibly a panel of instructors, maybe 2 to 3, that would discuss with the individual instructor who is going through the process to have their course reviewed and get this completed. And I think the question was, does this document reside with the person or the course? It will reside with the course. But if you get a peer review certificate, we're trying to create something for the peer review certificate. If you're choosing on that path, we're going to have a separate acknowledgement of that. So stay tuned. Are there any questions? I do apologize. We have a lot of versions going on, trying to really map the process and have the document make sense and not create too many documents that would confuse people. So somebody says I sent the correct document, but I will double check it again as I'm hoping this is it. So let me see if this opens it. Ah, here it is. Forgive me. I will share the correct one. So here it is. again, a continuous improvement process. You can see it here live. So here is the self-check, the peer review conversation, the peer review improvement. So after you've had the conversation, then you come back afterwards when the instructor is ready to talk to their peer. And then the final is just as soon as it meets criteria, because there might be a couple of iterations here, and we're looking at between around 12 weeks, so 3 months. And then once that's done between the instructor and the peer reviewer, peer mentor, master reviewer, then we go through it within ATS so that we can prepare it for a final review by a different master reviewer, different peer reviewer, and at a later date, they may be panels of faculty peer reviewers who would be going through the peer review much like you're going through. And once they get their course, you know, reviewed and approved, and this is how we could develop basically the baseline for hybrid and online courses.
Have we
so to
determined,
speak.
are they going to need 100%?
No, we're looking at 80 to 85%, really. We're not, so this is internal to Long Beach, Cal State Long Beach. So this
Right,
is
I meant
30
for us
points.
to, like, for people to get the QA certificate, so we've not yet set the actual standards.
Not yet. This is still a proof of concept right now. So we're running the test on this. Again, this is all based on research. They have a huge literature review for each one of these quality matters standards. So each one of these may have between 3 to 7 articles that will back up this, this standard here. That is why we're looking at that, so that, you know, why recreate the wheel if this exists. I can also provide the literature review. It's available to all Quality Matters universities, of which we are one of them. So mainly for that, it's 30 points. We're looking at just creating a baseline of understanding. So we have a criteria for AMI. What is it? People were asking, what is the difference between AMI and a hybrid online course? So after the emergency, we really want to have some more holistic standards if we're going to look at a course in particular for online and hybrid delivery to students. For the 42, that is actually the QM criteria. That's the official QM criteria. That's something that can be done at the chancellor's office. So they offer the introductory courses, and I can find that CSU and QA. And actually, what's really wonderful in this time of need, where we have all gone to AMI or virtual, all the QA training professional courses are free from the chancellor's office. They normally cost about $50 each, but these are all available for free for all instructors. They were free during spring, they were free during summer, and they are also free during now fall. Some of these have already started, but there's the November ones that are available. They're usually between 2 and 3 weeks. Again, applying the QM Quality Matters rubric goes through, instead of just the 30, it'll go through the complete 42. And this is actually the foundation course if you would like to become a peer reviewer from the Peer Reviewer Quality Matters course, of which Adam Kahn has participated in. And so you could see there's other QM universities within the CSU: Bakersfield, Dominguez Hills, East Bay, Fullerton, ourselves, Long Beach, Monterey, Pomona, Sacramento, San Bernardino, San Diego, San Jose, San Marcos, and Stanislaus. So we're really looking, I think, at the research base, and we're trying to provide evidence-based resources at the very end. If you want to know more, the descriptions are available here. And I'll also put this within the Zoom chat. So are there any questions about any of this, or stop share? So these are the quality assurance courses.
I have probably a dumb question that I should already know, but I'm a little bit confused between quality assurance and then COLT. Like, is quality assurance is a Long Beach thing and COLT is a CSU-wide version?
So what's really interesting is back when we were looking at online courses and looking at budgets that were being cut in I think everybody remembers 2007, 2008. It was a time where there were a lot of budget cuts, and a lot of universities had to look towards other avenues and other delivery methods as a strategic asset for looking forward to the future. Some universities really had to look at it strategically. So if you think of all the places where folks would like to retire, like Arizona, Washington, maybe Florida, they have really, they have tax breaks for a lot of people, which is why they move there. So in those areas, you find the most innovation because they had to, is innovate or you are losing your funding. So if you look at Arizona University, it is one of the most innovative campuses, but they had like a 40 to 60% budget cut as far as their universities and all of their public education. So same thing with Portland, same thing with Washington, Florida, Ohio. So you see a huge investment in there. Can you repeat your question one more time and I'll get to that point there. So I'm sorry.
I just keep trying to distinguish between QA and COLT as far as what certifies what.
Let me jump in.
At that point in time, hold on a second. At that point in time, everybody was trying to create standards and everybody thought they would create their own. Quality Matters was one of the only ones that decided to do research-based. It was a nonprofit government subsidized program. And it was part of the Online Learning Consortium, and then it was a joint venture with Maryland University Online. And so doing that, they came up with those standards. It spun off, became a nonprofit, and that's where it stands now. The QUILT is CSU's homegrown version. And what we're seeing is it's all coming towards the same understandings, and they're very quite similar.
Mm-hmm. But like in the CSU system, if you can get COLT certified, or you have to get COLT certified if you want to offer a class CSU wide, right?
It could be COLT or Quality Matters.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yes. You don't have to do both. Usually you choose one track or another, and actually Skylar up at the Chancellor's office shows the different pathways, and I'll send that out after this call. They thought they were going to create their own, but over time, as the changes come through and the need for research base becomes more important, we're finding that QM is getting traction. And then the other side of it, as we become more similar with one another, the other side of the coin is QUILT is free because we do own it, but free only in the sense of we created it, and if we want to deliver courses using QUILT. So what you saw over the summer when we said we recommend the introduction to online learning using QUILT, we sat down with our instructional design team and determined that there was such a close alignment between Quality Matters and QUILT that would be just as good, particularly in our virtual pivot. So that's kind of the history behind it, so to speak.
Thank you.
Right. QUILT was used over the summer due to, I think you were saying, Cheryl, issues of that whole copyright, that it was easier to do a massive number of QUILT intro to teaching as opposed to Quality Matters intro to teaching. So our campus is a Quality Matters campus. So our courses go through a Quality Matters review typically we have people take the Quality Matters, not the QUILT training courses. However, because in order to have these courses offered on a mass scale over the summer, for copyright reasons, it was easier to do it with Quilt. So we're not a Quilt campus per se. We just made the Quilt training available over the summer for logistical, copyright, financial reasons. But for all intents and purposes, we're a Quality Matters campus rather than a Quilt campus.
Well, for the QLT workshop, Quilt workshop, I'm one of the facilitators for those workshops starting May. So we actually had a lot of colleagues from Long Beach campus who took that intro class. So I have to say that was a very well-designed intro class. So especially for colleagues who may not be very familiar with the tools or the design aspect of online teaching, that 3-week workshop really follow the best practice and allow participants to see the whole process from the other side of the table. So yeah, for those who are interested, actually, I highly recommend that one. That really take care of some of the basics for online teaching.
And I'd just like to share on the webpage that pretty much there was over 1,421 training completions over the summer. This is what it looked like. This is at over a year, but truly it was a masterful exhibit of having so many people work together and really address the issues that we're facing. So it wasn't only on the campuses themselves, the CSU Chancellor's Office also shared some of the trainings up at the Chancellor's Office. I think some of you also took the ACUE, which is bringing active learning into online courses as well.
And Cheryl, it's my understanding that the main difference between QM and COLT is QM focuses entirely on the course design, and COLT looks at both course design and course delivery, or at least they used to. I'm not sure if they changed or not, but the main difference there is we're looking through QM as basically all the work before the course begins, so just the course design. And then COLT looks more at course design, so what all the work you're putting in before the course starts, and then also course delivery, which is after the course starts, how you interact with the students as instructor.
Mm-hmm. Oh, cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, that is another distinction. Because every university has their own quality standards, their own teaching center, they felt Quality Matters stepped away from that and understood that it would probably more be along the lines of governance for faculty members at each campus. Any other questions? And if not, oh, go ahead.
So what from now? I mean, so what is the sort of concrete plan we're supposed to do? Like, and I was also going to ask, how does ACUE, the micro-credential works into this whole set of trainings, and what should we be aiming at?
Okay. Well, the ACUE trainings and all the hybrid and online trainings were resources that were available at the universities and at the Chancellor's Office. And some of them were homegrown, some of them were already created. So the AD program is largely a lot of the backbone of the AMI program. If you look at the Chancellor's Office, they were using already hybrid online. And then they brought the off-the-shelf ACUE active learning course in because they felt that that would be beneficial. I think right now what we're looking at, the budgets are changing and there is an interest. It doesn't have to be everyone. It's only of the willing who would like to explore further online, hybrid, high flex, flexible classrooms. And so for those individuals, we're providing these resources for the next step. Also, there was a large group of people from CLA. I think it was 60 that went through the AD program last summer. Adam, am I saying that correctly? About 60 people?
Yeah.
To the virtual
I read it.
symposium?
So
I was one of those.
yeah,
Yeah.
this was the year before. The year before COVID. I know it's hard to think that far back. It was just a couple years ago. And, you know, there's some people that want to move forward and they're looking at, well, what would it be like to have my course go online? Now that I'm halfway there with AMI, what is the next step? And if it's not just one course, maybe it's a series of courses or a group of colleagues or a cohort group that would like to say, I might want to do, we could do a micro-credential within my department. What would that look like? How would we do that? We're trying to put together, you know, the processes. In ATS, we work with main campus, stateside, and we also work with extension and special projects. So our instructional design team works on both, and we're trying to work with our new AVP, Dr. Sharika Med, on creating some pathways for instructors and departments to really think about what they would like to do. So creating these checklists that inform people, acknowledging what peer review is, and bringing hybrid and online. You know, we approve the policy with an academic senate. Now, what does that look like? And how do we interpret that throughout the campus? So your mileage may vary. It's only of the willing, and we're here to help.
So, I mean, in order to, Quality Matters or recertification allows us to sort of certify a course to be taught system-wide, right? So we would have to, like, if we, you know, tune up our course to be able to fulfill all these quality assurance certificate kind of thing.
Yes.
That would allow us to do that, or is there something else?
So the way that it's running right now is 42 for the official Quality Matters is a huge leap. So we created the interim for CSULB, and that certificate, if we talk to CPI, I think, you know, any of those courses could go online in negotiation with the department and with the instructor and with the colleges. If you wanted to go to CSU Online, their standards might be Quality Matters or Quality Assurance. I'm not clear on that. Adam or Long, could you speak to that?
Well, I can speak to be honest,
Hey, Kylie, stop.
So in terms of, so I got my course QM certified, and what that in function, all that did is I got to put a badge on the course to say that I did. On the other hand, I got to tell my students, hey, look, regardless of how you feel about this course, know that this meets the highest quality. To be honest, I mean, I'm going up for tenure this year. We'll see how much it gets acknowledged in my tenure letters, but ultimately the function is I have a much better course for it. So regardless of whether it lets me offer it cross-system, because as far as I know, it's not being offered cross-system. I don't know, but it's good for the students to get it Quality Matters certified. Technically, you can have a great course without it being Quality Matters certified, but you can be confident it's a good course if you do. So if anything, it's for the students, not for your own self-confidence rather than it being for everyone else. So maybe students won't care, but you at least know that here, some do, don't get me wrong, some do. But the fact is you can be confident that you are giving your students the best possible experience.
And then to further talk about that, all of the research that goes behind Quality Matters is linked to student success and instructor satisfaction. So in other words, some of the best practices, I think when you go through the AMI checklist, some of it actually cuts down on classroom management issues like students emailing you about where's the syllabus or where am I supposed to go for the Zoom meeting. It's one area. And then adding the resources in within the course template, we're trying to, from the campus side, from ATS, trying to help support that. So all the quality matters, or most of the quality matters, are built into the templates that we've handed out throughout the summer and into the fall.
And I'm not
So-
trying to say it's a bad thing. I am extremely happy and extremely proud I did. It's just it's more, if anything, it's an intrinsic reward than an extrinsic reward. But my course is so much better because of it. So if you are thinking of doing it, I strongly encourage you do, but the benefit is primarily to the students, and sometimes they won't see it, partly because they're only also taking your course then and there. They wouldn't know what the course was like prior to certification. So you can be confident you have a much better course for doing it. It was probably among the most fulfilling things I've done on the faculty for pedagogy, because it has made my course so much better. And then even though I don't intend to get other courses of mine certified because I don't feel they fully translate well fully online, it made me a better instructor. All the principles we're teaching you here now will also make you a better in-person instructor. So even if come next spring you're like, this was such a miserable experience, I don't want to ever teach again, you still will have learned, I'm not teach again, don't want to teach online again, this still will all help you with how you use technology in the classroom, or even just the idea of writing learning objectives. I knew nothing about writing formal learning objectives until I took my first online training, and now that drives my in-person classes just as much does my online classes. So I would strongly recommend doing as much training as you can, strongly recommend trying to get your course QM certified, because there's value there. But if your question was, well, what is the benefit? A lot of it is student success, instructor satisfaction. I would say definitely student success more than this, than always instructor satisfaction, and knowing that you're doing a good job for your students. Because as we've seen, learning online is not easy for them for so many reasons. And even those who voluntarily chose to take fully online courses pre-pandemic, it was not easy. Research shows that online courses in general have higher dropout rates or non-completion rates inherently than in-person courses. So doing the things you can to support your students to ensure their success so that you don't have lower dropout or non-completion rates. So it's all great.
And I'd like to
So, but
also-
everything you're doing here, the fact that you are here is valuable. And I see Cheryl wants to say something else.
The other side of this, the exciting part of it that you might not think about, is the research on your own instruction. It's a different cognate from your primary focus, whether you be in the College of Natural Sciences, College of Liberal Arts, or any of the departments. This is now becoming a research area where you can actually use your own data on your classroom and compare how it was when you taught face-to-face to how you taught it AMI, to a way we're working with the back end of the learning management system and offering those data analytics to the instructors. We're hoping to do that over the course of the next few years. This is something that I think leadership is interested in, as well as some instructors on really giving data as far as tenure files and the like. So also publications can come into play, and we're also going to keep and continue doing panel discussions across campus here about research opportunities that will be related to this. So ATS will be working in partnership with institutional research as well at some point.
Cheryl, are there deliverables for this workshop, or have we been I don't want to say simply, but we've been exposed to a lot. Is there a follow-up with a specific person where we demonstrate that we applied these things to our classes?
Yes.
What is there a next step?
Yes, there is a next step, and I thank you for asking that question. So what we're going to give everybody is 12 weeks to complete the checklist, the peer checklist, and then submit it to ATS. So in terms of the peers, you can just submit your checklist to us, and we'll assign you a peer reviewer. It may be an instructional designer or one of the master reviewers, or actually a peer reviewer who's gone through the peer review course. Once you've done that and had a conversation with them, the next step is if you've had anything that you would like to improve, you have that improvement conversation. And once all the improvements are put in there, we check the MET criteria. At that point in time, when you're ready, then you submit it to ATS. We're going to just double check everything, and we're going to have you meet with a master review, a different master reviewer or a peer reviewer, so that you can get another pair of eyes on it. And that will be our pilot. We're looking at mid-January to end of January, if it could be submitted. So we give you some time to work on it. And I'm talking to the AVP, and he's very interested in supporting this. And if there's faculty interest, he wants to be very supportive and, willing to talk to the deans and the associate deans about this, and checking to see the value of this proposition. So
there's the submission and
there's
the submission there's the submission in 12 weeks, and then it sounds like there would be a period of a buffer of improvement, and then further back and forth.
Yes.
So
yes.
how long is
that's
that? How long is that second?
Your mileage may vary. Some of the folks may already have 80 courses where you've already gone through our hybrid and online instruction. Some of you may already be using some of our templates and may have already inherently built in the Quality Matters standards. So in some cases, it may go a little faster than others. As soon as we get your interest, so you can email those directly to me, just email me your syllabus and tell us that you're interested in talking to a peer reviewer about your course. You will have gone through the self-check and be ready to have that discussion with a Quality Matters peer reviewer or master reviewer or instructional designer. And let me tell you that all of our instructional designers have gone through the QM peer review. And once that is done, so you would meet with the same person at least twice. Your mileage may vary, it could be more. And then we definitely go through and check that it meets criteria. Then for that, we're going to pass you on to have a final review with a different master reviewer, peer reviewer. And at that point, we're going to give you, because this is a special course on the quality assurance and the peer review, if you've gone through the champion and leader training and have that peer review, we're going to give you a peer review recognition. But first we would want to have your course be checked, and we have verification that you've done that in your course. And so those are the two pieces. I'll write this down, and I thank you guys for coming along and participating with this. We're at the very ground floor, and we're really trying to keep everything transparent and working with all the units and the teaching and learning centers so that we can move forward with this, and with the associate deans, in particular the conversations about what is the difference between an AMI course and a hybrid and online course. People are starting to ask, and we don't know how to answer them. And then chairs are also asking for what is the difference as well. And so we're trying to make that distinction or help create that evidence-based verification to help out. So I will be sending out a document. It'll also have a form to sign up when you're ready, and we'll provide a match with you. And it's 2 to 3 times you meet together about improvements. And then you both go through the final MET criteria checklist. And once you have that, send it over to us. And then in ATS, we're going to do the matching again with a faculty member or an instructional designer to get another pair of eyes on it. And then we'll move forward throughout January and possibly into February. We'll see how this goes. You are our first pilot group, and we will be here for your success. Are there any other questions, comments, or concerns?
So we're the pioneers. That's good.
You are the pioneers. I have to tell you, Adam and Nancy and Long and Adam, we basically looked at one another because I had expressed, you know, there were a lot of deans that were saying, you know, AMI is putting everybody online. So you know that there's no definition in our policy for alternative modes of instruction.
Of course.
If you look on the schedule, all of the courses are online. And so the critical question was, what is the difference? We have to make a distinction. And, you know, we want to make sure that we're supporting our faculty members and we're supporting our students. And so we know that the best practices is transparency and examples and models and rubrics. And so instead of recreating the wheel, we took, you know, the tip of the hat to the chancellor's office that incorporated, you know, the COLT and the Quality Matters as choices, opportunity and choice for each of the universities. And we're trying to adapt that to create some scaffolding for something brand new here at Cal State Long Beach. So we really appreciate your fortitude. We are here to walk alongside you and support your efforts. And I do promise I will, after this weekend, Nancy and I have had a little bit of emergencies, which is why we haven't had everything finalized, but we will come out with a document and a sign-up sheet. So what you could do right now is I sent the, it's checklist number 3, and I'll send it out again. It's a PDF. So what you want to do is take a look at the self-check and know where those are in the geography of your course, so that you could say with your peer reviewer, this is where it is, this is where it is, and be able to self-identify that. We're going to be interviewing you after this process because we always see this as a continuous improvement process, and we're creating it especially for Long Beach. So we are definitely going to take everybody's perspective in this group, as well as test it out with others. And we're going to see whether that's in spring or summer or fall. We're not looking at a, you know, an immediate pivot, but we're looking at least having this exploration so we can answer leadership when they have the questions or demand answers, or if there's something that faculty need as support. We want to be there.
Is there talk of continuing AMI beyond COVID, or once campus is reopened, there will still be some AMI sections as opposed to hybrid? Like, I don't know if there's been discussion.
So I think that's the $1 million question. I think the new chancellor is going to be asking that too. What's next? I don't think any of us has a crystal ball. We were holding our breath about spring. But as we saw a lot of the opening and closing of universities across the United States, everybody took their own path because we all have opportunity and choice. But for the safety of our constituency, our students and our faculty and our staff, you know, leadership has made decisions and tried to be as open to HyFlex as possible with, you know, kind of a sequencing of student and faculty meetings if necessary, especially for the labs. We're navigating that. I do believe, though, that AMI is considered an emergency measure. As we move forward, there'll be more of a criteria transparent to everyone on what departments and colleges want to take on. Is this is what we expect from our faculty for our students. And so we're trying to get the best research and the best resources to everyone. And so we're kicking the tires on this one.
I would think what we're in for is when AMI goes away, a whole group of faculty who have tasted online, a version of online teaching, who would like to continue to teach online. And then it would seem to me that the next step would be vetting those who might desire to teach online because it's perceived as convenient or whatever. And it would seem like those standards would begin to climb as a way of probably limiting how much online teaching is done once face-to-face teaching comes back.
So when we talk about online courses, there's some laws around online courses, particularly within the states. So state to state, how you know, what is it? The articulation between universities within the state and outside of the state. And there's been a lot of interest about online because what is the conversion? How do we make an agreement that the ASU class is going to transfer over to Long Beach, or, you know, any online courses from City College? Is a course a course a course? And so in negotiating that, there are laws currently, you know, for this, and there's certain levels of activity and a criteria of student to instructor touch points. And if we deliver a course online, or if we deliver a micro-credential online, it is going to be judged by these criteria. So it's a national, you know, the government is looking at this. And they want to make sure that people aren't just posting PowerPoints and you set it and you forget about it like a crock pot. They want to make sure that the students are getting what they paid for. And there is a criteria. And so that's why a lot of the universities have gone with creating COLT, their own homegrown, or looking towards Quality Matters that's based on research and evidence, so that they can say definitively, we meet these standards. And we have made it transparent to our faculty members and our students that this is what we do, and this is what kind of environment that you're going to be producing results in.
Made you think.
So anyways, I think that touches what Alicia was talking about, the micro-credential. It's also talking about the quality. It's also, you know, looking from the inside out as well as the outside in. People will be looking at what is the standard of Long Beach if they're looking at an online course. And there will be forerunners. So I think we have one online master's program in CHHS, I believe, or more than one. The emergency, Long, could you tell me? I think it's the emergency master's program is online.
Could you repeat that, Cheryl?
Is it it's an emergency master's program. It's I can't remember the rest of it, but it's for the first responders, and it's taught across the United States. And we have had, I think so. I know it's in College of Health and Human Services, but that's one of the forerunners. And yes, emergency management, thank you very much. I know there was a lot of first responders, and we just had a student present on a panel last spring. And the only reason why she could get the master's, she was a retired veteran. She was also a mother of three. She was also delivering one on the way, and she was also a full-time police officer. And so the opportunities that she said was that it's unprecedented. She didn't have to leave her job to get the professional development. You know, she could juggle things with the kids and the, you know, the home duties, and have this community to fall back on. So it's a wonderful opportunity there. We've also had undergraduates that have said they would not have been able to take an internship. And this was a student in business. And he basically said he would not have had the internship in aerospace. I think he was at Northrop Grumman, and take that unless he had the hybrid classes. And I'm happy to say that immediately after he graduated, he got a job within aerospace. So having the flexibility in the classes is very helpful to a wide range of students. And we've had students on the online panel say, could there be more? Could there be GEs possibly? Because I'm juggling, in addition to my schoolwork, maybe 1 or 2 jobs, or I'm having to take care of family members. Right now, I think all of us can agree that there's some intergenerational, you know, for myself, I'm taking, you know, raising my children and also looking at my parents who are in their 80s. So there's a lot of different things going on in society right now. And we're going to see a lot of retraining and people wanting to get micro-credentials. And I think that's going to be an avenue for, you know, communities coming back successfully from this COVID-19. I'm at the end of my talk here. It's the last 3 minutes. I will pledge that you will get an email with all the instructions from Nancy and I, highlighting the 12 weeks, the checklist, the procedures, and then fill out a form. And I'd like to thank with all my heart Adam Kahn for stepping in and bringing in his course and his peer review experience. Adam Mitchell, who is not only our instructional designer, he's also a master reviewer in his own right. Long Wang, who is also one of our newest master reviewers. He also teaches many courses, several courses online, not of which is also the CSU Introduction to Online Learning through Quilt. He helped put, you know, the 1,400 courses through this summer from across all the CSUs. And then Nancy Kwan Wickham, she really wanted to be here. She had an unexpected appointment, but she is here for your success. She says, if you have any follow-up questions, please reach out to her. For ATS, she is going to be our partner for the year. Last year it was Casey Galler. This year will be Nancy Kwan Wickham, and she'll be also teaching in the spring as well. We are planning some information as far about an intensive. It may be in December, January, but more information will be forthcoming. Another thing to look forward to is my AVP just announced that we're going to have a Go Virtual Unconference. It'll be on Friday the 13th. So that's November 13th, 2020. So we'll be taking a 2020 look back at the summer and figure out where we are. We're happy to announce that Dr. Rita Conrad will be a facilitator, as well as some new faces as well. So thank you again for joining us and for your time here. If you have any questions, I'll stay online. And again, thank you so much for being pioneers. We couldn't do this without you.
Thank you, Cheryl. It's been great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
You all.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Have a nice
Sure.
day.
I have a question. Is there any other courses will be offered from your office?
We are looking into it. We have a lot of workshops that are coming. We're having the online learning studio run again for those that are going on into fall and spring. We're going to have some new workshops that will be online. Some more focusing on engagement, interactivity, uses of video, and we're also going to try and create pathways. And we are keeping track of everybody's attendance in a database. We do want to recognize everyone who's working towards a professional development, and we do recognize that you're pioneers. A lot of the leaders and champions have done a lot of, you know, extra work, and we want to make sure that they're recognized. So you know, my AVP is looking at it. Yes, we need to make sure that we're creating this peer review culture that's going to be self-sustaining and recognizing the efforts that each of the colleges and departments have put forward, as well as the instructors. So you can count on hopefully more pathways that will go in the spring and summer. We're going to take the winter to really reflect on everything, and the Go Virtual Unconference is really going to be listening to what everyone has felt like they've collectively done, learned. We'll listen to recommendations. We'll listen to questions and requests. That's going to be the source of our needs assessment for what we want to do over the winter and to produce in spring. So if you have any comments, concerns, recommendations, we would love to hear from you.
Yeah, that's good. Then, you know, this summer we had limited, just like we could enroll only 3 or 4 might be.
I know.
Okay, so if you offer it again,
Yes.
then maybe whatever we, you know, didn't get opportunity, we can take might be this time.
Yes.
That is what I'm asking.
And the Teaching and Learning Center will also be producing, the Faculty Development Center will also be producing professional development. And I've talked to the Chancellor's office and they are also looking, I guess, when we've talked to folks out in the trenches, I know that there's a lot of folks that have said they're kind of tired. They did a lot of intensive professional development. They've been working on their courses. So we've tried to create some breathers and we're wanting to really listen to what it is that you want, need, and desire.
So at the beginning, it is, I think, what about you guys did a great job, because at the beginning, we need to know from crash to everything, right? That's why definitely it would be overwhelmed at the beginning. But right now, whatever we are at the stage, we don't need from crash. We need little bit, you know, upgrade something. Then I don't think that we will feel that, oh, we are having too much training or something. Not like that. So at the beginning, it is, we need it, right, at a time. That's why it, I think you guys did a very good job. Thank you very much for offering this type of process. Yeah.
Thank you for your patience with us. I know that some departments and some colleges move forward and we tried to pivot as fast as we could. So I thank you. We were, it was a very interesting summer.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. And we appreciate the partnership with the champions and the leaders and the associate deans. I mean, truly, it's been, it's a moment of grace because my instructional design team, there were only 6 of us, really.
Oh, I have one more question. You mentioned that you gave the certificate or something for these courses at this time.
Yes, so in talking about that, the checklist that I've handed out, it went out through the Zoom group chat. So if you scroll through it, you can download that file. I'm also going to email it to you, hopefully by end of day today. I have 2 more meetings and then I'm all focused on this. So the checklist is basically the self-check so that you go through and look at that. Once you do that, I'm sending out an email with all the steps. And then it's going to have a sign-up sheet. And when you're ready and you've gone through all the steps and you know where all those pieces are and you have reflected on it, then what we're going to do is move on to the next one, which is match you with a peer. So it's going to be either a Quality Matters peer, one of my instructional designers who's gone through the peer review training for Quality Matters, or a QM master reviewer. So these are folks that have worked with the Quality Matters rubric.
So we have to checklist and send to you back, or how does it work?
You can hold on to it. You can let me know that you're ready, and then I'll match you with somebody. So there's 20, I believe there's 20 people, and I have a list of folks that have gone through the Quality Matters peer review, and they're waiting to work with someone and go through the checklist with them. And then you'll go through at least 2 meetings together. The first one will just be a discussion where you're going to show them where each of the standards are in your course and how you've met them. And the peer reviewer will give you, feedback and ways that you could possibly improve or experiences that they've had in their course. So it's going to be a conversation. And then out of that, you're going to choose what you are going to improve on. And then the final checklist is when you meet with the peer reviewer again. And that's going to be when you check off all the rest of the list. So you've met criteria in all of these standards, in the 30 standards. So at that point, you submit the document signed and everything to us, and we're going to go find the final reviewer for you. So it might be a master reviewer or a peer reviewer, but it's going to be someone different to give you another pair of eyes. And we're going to, after that, give you the certificate if you meet all 30. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I got it now.
So that way you can step away with your course getting the certificate here. And then if you're a leader or a champion that have gone through the peer review, we are going, once you have your course at 30 points of the standards, we're going to give you a peer review certificate as well. So this has been a twofer because we didn't have as much time. So if you do the 30 points and you're in the special pilot group, we're going to also give you the peer review certificate for Long Beach. And then you can go out and peer review. It'll only be good on our campus. We're just trying to see how we can help colleges and departments.
So you need to meet to all 30 or even partially meet, then still people can get a certificate?
So we're looking at the 30 points, the 30 standards, yeah. And that would reside with your course. And then the certificate would be, when you finish that, for all the champions and leaders, you would get, for going through this with Nancy, doing peer review and discussing it, we would give you a certificate for peer review.
Okay, thank you very much for the clarification.
Thank you for your patience. This has been an informative process in talking to all the departments and the champions and the leaders and the associate deans and the deans. We've been collecting the information and listening to what people's needs are or what they're having challenges with. So like, you know, what is the difference between online and hybrid? And we're trying to look for that evidence base that we can share with people and say, this is how we came up with it, so that you know that it's based on research.
Okay, I think others are waiting for you.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. And if you need anything, just email me directly. I'd be happy to have a Zoom session or phone call with you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Hi, Ming.
Hi, Cheryl. You have
Professor
a
Jen? Yes, absolutely, for you. Yes.
Like we are going to have a training, actually open forum within our college talking about how to create all these online assessment. So I was wondering if it's possible to have somebody from Design to Learn to talk to us, you know, because I don't have the connection. So
oh yeah, we could definitely set it up. What is the date and the time?
It's October 30th.
October 30th, right before Halloween.
Yeah, we intentionally picked the date.
Yes. Sometimes things are scary, but they can be fun at the same time.
Yeah, it's from 2 to 4.
2 to 4.
Yeah, we don't need this person to be there for 2 hours. Maybe that's 30 minutes, you know, no more than 30 minutes.
And then what would you like them to cover?
It's really about assessment, quizzes.
Assessments? So quizzes, okay.
Yeah, because first of all, we do know, like we had a lot of trainings about quiz already. But there's something more advanced topics we want this person to be able to share.
Absolutely.
And also we want to maybe also provide some feedback. Hopefully they can do something more to enhance the capability of quiz. Because right now there's a lot of issues we cannot handle.
Yes, I know. And there's a lot of questions about the online proctoring, whether you can use a camera or not. We're creating some documents right now. We're just going through the final proofing, and we're hoping we're going to be able to send that out campus-wide. We've looked at the chancellor's policies or recommendations for digital data security as well as privacy. And so you can expect that hopefully by next week.
Okay. So yeah, so can you just share some contact information from Design to Learn and get me connected?
Yes. So my question for you was, you like somebody from my Beach Board staff to do, or Desire to Learn itself?
Daniel did it already.
Okay, so Daniel did it already. Okay, so you're looking for someone from Desire to Learn. Let me see what I can do. Sometimes.
No pressure, okay, I just want to.
Yeah, I'll see what I can pull.
Okay.
Otherwise, what I can do is I can have an instructional designer come in and talk about how to use some of the tools. We're coming up with, I don't know if you knew this, but we're piloting Poll Everywhere.
Okay.
We're also going to be piloting, I believe, what is it? PlayPosit. We're just in the early negotiations, but they do have the free version. And we're also looking at Gradescope.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've seen Gradescope, but I think particularly for the financial courses where they're trying to look for activity and then managing, you know, the amount of grading.
Okay.
Some of those tools might be of interest, and I can send an email follow-up with resources around that.
Okay. Because we had a Daniel coming to our college in the summer, so we want to ask somebody else to maybe share a different perspective.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Nancy Quam Wickham also talks about it from almost the faculty center point of view, but she knows the Beach Board really well as far as alternative forms of assessment. So that's another person that might be able to give another angle on it. But I will ask D2L first, and I think it's early enough for me to catch somebody. So hang on, I'll send out an email and copy you tonight.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for organizing all the training activities. That was very helpful. Thank you.
So thank you for all the best questions. I always had to, those are really good questions. It would usually take me between 15 to 20 minutes to really think through. So I appreciate your questions. It's phenomenal.
It's easy to handle such a big project, you know, in a short period. It's all last minute urgency. Huh? It's a lot of.
Oh, I know, but thank goodness you are supply chain management. That is like the perfect. I should have probably had come to you for consulting.
I think most things that we struggle the most is not about delivering the material, it's all about assessment. We're experiencing more issues with assessment. You know?
Yes, we are finding that very much true. And that's, again, something that we're going to touch upon in the unconference. We're really going to find out who found success with tools, because a lot of people, you know, it's academic freedom. So there's, you know, people were using a lot of different strategies, and we want to hear what worked, what didn't work. And then if there are any pain points, we could either find the resolution, or we can bring in vendors that might be to answer, or specialists that might help. So we don't want anybody to think they're alone on campus. This is a big thing, and it's not only fall, it's winter and spring. I mean, I love that we said spring, but it makes you will also, if you're doing winter, it's online too, or hybrid, or AMI. I keep having to remember AMI.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. You have a great afternoon.